Allah to forgive me. Or I ask you to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give me a job, or to provide me a wife, or whatever. Or ask a person, a dead person, to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, somebody buried in his grave. No, this is all shirk. Likewise, among the acts of worship is slaughtering. One may only slaughter to Allah. قل إن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين. Say that my prayer and my slaughter and my life and my death belong to Allah alone. فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. Pray to Allah alone and slaughter to Him alone. And the Prophet ﷺ said, لَعَنَ اللَّهُ مَنْ ذَبَحَ لِغَيْرِ اللَّهِ. Allah will curse whoever slaughters to other than Allah. So one cannot now slaughter in the name of anybody but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To slaughter in the name of another being is shirk. To slaughter in the name of Ali ibn Abi Talib is shirk. To slaughter in the name of Abdul Qadir al-Jilani is shirk. And likewise, another vowing. One cannot vow to other than Allah. Vowing only belongs to Allah. يُوفُونَ بِالنَّذْرِ. They complete their vows unto Allah. Only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not to anyone else. And likewise, bowing, a ruku', and prostrating, a sujood. This only belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One cannot bow to any human being, or prostrate to any human being, much less to a rock, or to a tree, or to a cave. Likewise, going around in an act of worship. One can only go around as an act of worship only around the house of Allah, the Kaaba. One cannot go around as an act of worship any grave or any tree or any stone or any of these matters. Likewise, kissing as an act of worship. One can only kiss the black stone as an act of worship. One cannot kiss any other matter as an act of worship in order to seek the blessings of that rock or that stone or that tree or that grave or so forth. These are all acts of worship that belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and there are very many. Now, I'm sure most of you, because I can sort of tell from the faces of the people, that most of you probably come from outside of Canada originally. And I'm sure all of you know that in your countries, perhaps in every country that we all have come from or visited, we find people giving these acts of worship to other than Allah. Even here in Canada, I'm told that there are certain graves of certain Catholics, saints and so forth, where the French Canadians and so forth go to these graves and worship and ask these dead people that which they ask of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you can go to any church and you can find that. So this matter is shirk, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not forgive this sin. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَغْفِرْ أَنْ يُشْرَكَ بِهِ وَيَغْفِرْ مَا دُونَ ذَلِكَ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ. Allah will not forgive the sin of making shirk with Him, and He will forgive any other sin to whomever He pleases. So one cannot do this act of shirk. One cannot associate others with Allah. And by doing this association of others with Allah, one is condemning himself to the hellfire. Unless he repents before his death and worships Allah alone and disavows the worship of anybody besides Allah, he will go to hell and be in hell for all eternity. Irrespective of, who he worships, whether he worships a prophet, whether he worships an angel, whether he worships a devil, whether he worships a rock or a stone, the sun or the moon or the stars, it makes no difference. Worship belongs only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The prophet is to be obeyed and Allah is to be worshipped. This is our religion. And this is the battle and the argument between humanity. And this is what Muhammad ﷺ was sent for. As he has said, I have been commanded to fight mankind, to fight humanity, until Allah is worshipped alone and they believe in what I have been sent with. And the Prophet ﷺ has said, I have been sent before the hands of the hour of judgment, so that Allah is worshipped alone. And Allah has given my sustenance to me under the shade of my spear, and Allah has struck with humiliation all those who go against my command, and whoever follows a people is from them. This is the second principle which we should understand, which I have displayed some brevity because we don't have much time. We only have a few minutes before Maghrib. So I'll stop at that, and perhaps you can take maybe one question, right? Well, we have some questions from before. It's all right, Dad. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Somebody says, the previous question, we'll just take one of these. I am, as a non-Arab Muslim who loves his Arab brothers, find unacceptable addressing when some of our Arab speakers talk about Muslim unity, and at the same time say Muslims and Arabs have to do this and that and so on, saying before both Arabs and non-Arabs, is that the contrary of unity? They're talking on the subject of unity. I specifically mean a certain person or group, but that is my feeling, which is uncomfortable to myself sometimes. Your comment? Yes, I mean, this is true. When one says Muslims and Arabs, I mean, this is a contradiction. Allah in the Quran did not make any command specific for any race of people. Allah addresses the people in the Quran, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, O you who believe, irrespective of what your race is. These are the commands. And likewise, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has attached success to those who have taqwa, to those who have al-birr, righteousness, to those who fear Him, to those who worship Him, to those who have ihsan, which are all qualities that a person has, not a race. So, I mean, the issue of addressing the Arabs with special commands, unlike the non-Arabs, there's no basis for. There's only one issue in where there's a difference of opinion between the scholars, and I'll just mention it without getting to the argument itself, is that can we accept from the Arab jizya, from the children of Ismail? Or is with them only can one accept either Islam or the sword? In other words, we know that for people of humanity, there is a choice in the Islamic State that when the Muslims come in contact with non-Muslim people, that they become Muslim, or they accept that Muslims rule over them and they pay a jizya, a money, and they are in a state of humiliation, or the sword, war. Is this applicable to the Arab? Or is the Arab only given the choice of Islam or the sword? There's a difference of opinion between the scholars, and it refers back to some of the statements and positions taken by Umar ibn Khattab. I don't think this is the place where to get into that at this time.